well, and if not, hopefully it gets better. Hopefully your weight gets better. Alright. Alrighty. I think, did we already do our shopping? Yeah, it looks like we did. Alright, so I think we are ready. We had a car that we could clean up. I don't think that's going to take very long. So... just soak that bad boy up. Clean this car up. So we might be able to soap up the entire car. I mean, this was like $100 job, so it makes sense that we would be able to do it rather quickly. Oh, they give us ladders, like I'm not gonna jump on this car. Alright, I think... Alright, that looks pretty good. I think we are good to turn that off. Just have soap on every task at the same time. Nice. Take that as we did a good job. To the tires. the roof. There we go. Easy peasy. That did not take that long at all. Alright. T-Bot Tea Room. Alright. Let's do this job. Alright, we'll start with these. Actually, don't need to do that. Need these chairs and the tables because we can get the ground with our buffer. Table. Okay, get this last chair. Under there, okay. 2. Chair and chair cushion, okay. Alright, now we can go to this. We can clean the ground with this. We'll do the table in the middle in a little bit. This is just easier to get this with. buff out this floor real good. Alright. Oh, there we go. Switch back to this. And just get the table. Stand up, please. There we go. That one's done. Now we do the same thing over here. Soap it up. Okay, and then we get in here, make sure we get the inside of the handle. And that. Oop. Okay, table. Hey, Worsk, how you doing today? Playing, oh, Ball X Pit. How you liking that game? Not a big roguelite person myself, so it was alright. Having a hard time winning? I've found that, like, once you kind of level up a little bit, it's not too bad. Once I got the first win with, like, the second character you unlock, I was able to, like, start winning. Like, I won with not the second character, but the third character, and then I immediately won right after that with the first character, so, like, it just takes a little bit of time. Can't win with the cohabitant? What do you mean? It's the character you unlock? Are you talking about the first character you unlock, or the second one? Because you unlock multiple characters. I also don't know if it's randomized which ones you unlock at when. So I would assume it's not, but I think the 4th or 5th. Oh, I didn't get that far. I stopped playing after I beat the first area with the 3rd and 1st characters, so. Like I said, I'm not a big roguelike player, so not really my cup of tea. Although I do think that one's pretty interesting. Definitely more simplistic than some of the others that I've played. I'm gonna have to finish off the chairs now. There's a horror roguelike? Yes, there is. It's called, No Skin. There's also World of Horror. And I have played both of them. World of Horror is like a Junji Ito-inspired one that gets quite difficult, to be honest. And then, No Skin is a relatively new one. That plays more like a kind of dungeon crawler RPG. It's definitely easier than World of Horror, but I haven't dove much in since it fully released. I only played through the demo and got through all the demo stuff. But yeah, there are plenty. Also, we played a Death Howl, which was a kind of like a horror. They call it a Souls-like deck builder, which I could see why. It has some mechanics that are Souls-like, but for me, that's not how I define a Souls-like. So I personally wouldn't call it a Souls-like. I definitely call it a deck builder. But yeah, there's plenty of horror or horror adjacent roguelikes. Unfortunately, horror's not enough to sell me on a genre. Like, the gameplay loop still has to be interesting enough. That's why actually I don't like play a lot of the like jump scare focused horror, is because like your Five Nights at Freddy's, your mascot horror, your stuff like that doesn't really interest me. Because it's just, I just don't like that gameplay loop. So that's why I don't play a lot of those games either, is horror is just not... no, horror will not carry a game for me, unfortunately. I need a little bit more in the gameplay loop. Are super repetitive. It's not necessarily the repetitive, because like I play Path of Exile, and ARPGs are incredibly repetitive. They're grindy messes, and I love ARPGs. For me, it's just like I have to find a gameplay loop that I find fun, but also the reward structure has to be it has to, for me personally, it has to be rewarding enough. And of course, when it comes to reward structures, that's very player dependent. Because like for roguelikes, if you like the cycle of I died, but I unlocked these 2 things. I died, but I unlocked these 2 things. I died, you know, like, if that reward structure is good enough for you, right, that's fine, right? A lot of people love that. So, like, that's why they love that genre, right? Whether those are, you know, deck builders or, you know, just a traditional roguelite or whatever, like, that's fine. So it's just one of those, like, taste kind of thing, right? Like, to each its own kind of thing. I just haven't found one that really vibed with me. And I've played quite a few. Like, I played Dead Cells, I've played, like I said, I've played some deck builders, I've played other roguelites. Like, I've played quite a few of the things. I never try to count a genre out. Like, I'm always trying new things if I have access to it. Because I'm always of the mind that, like, I might find something in a genre that I might like, right? Like, it took me until, like, literally, like, 2 or 3 years ago, I think it's like a year or 2, I don't know. I can't get an exact timeline, to find, like, a 4X I like, which was Humankind. And then they stopped developing it, which sucked, but but I like Humankind, which is a 4X game, and outside of that, I don't like 4X games, you know, so it's just, you know, it's just one of those things that's just like, I just gotta find, you know, something I like, and I'll keep trying roguelikes until I find one I like. Like, I like Inscription, but that's more of a deck builder than a roguelike, to be honest. And I'm not really fond of deck builders either. Card games are not really my jam. The only reason I got into cards when I was younger is because I liked collecting things. I like collectathons. I like collecting things. That's why I got into Pokemon, because I like collecting things. So, it's not because I like the battles. The battles are not really that complicated. Pokemon is basically a very extreme rock, paper, scissors, right? Like, you have like 14 elements of rock, paper, scissors. Good thing I never got into comic books. Like, at one point I was going to. The problem I had with comic books is, like, by the time I was going to get into comic books, the communities were just very toxic, right? Like, there's, I mean, most nerd communities can be very toxic, but where I was, like, most of the people I talked about comic books with were just not very, accommodating, I guess. You know, everybody had their, like, oh, these are the best heroes. If you don't like these heroes, you don't know nothing about heroes. And, like, I read some comics and got to know some comic stuff, but at the end of the day, I was just like, nah. I just didn't want to engage with those people, and kind of pushed me off of that. But unfortunately, there are a lot of nerd hobbies that are incredibly toxic, unfortunately. It just comes from that elitism sense of superiority that happens. We talk about it when we talk about, like, gaming, too. We talked about, I think, yesterday, or maybe even this morning, we were talking about how, like, there's, like, gatekeeping and a lot of, like, gaming and stuff like that. Wasn't like that when I was working. I'm talking about locally. Like, the people I had to deal with locally were like that. I'm not saying, like, the whole, like, everybody in comics is like that. I was talking about, like, the people I was engaging with locally were very much like that. And unfortunately, all I had to engage with was the stuff locally, right? So I can't speak to a, you know, something at large when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know, they were very, like, misogynistic. They were very, like, they were very just anti-people, to be honest. Very gatekeepy when it came to stuff. Not necessarily, like, the store owners or anything, but, like the people that were at the store themselves were like that. But yeah, like I said, that's kind of how it is sometimes. Okay. Okay. So this didn't... Oh, it's probably because of this. There we go. Sucks when communities are like that and doesn't foster... Yeah. I mean, the problem is again, that happens to a lot of fandoms. Just all sorts of fandoms. Happens in gaming, it happens in comics and art, music, like you name it. Everything that you can be a fan of, people will absolutely try to gatekeep. So this needs probably... There we go. Alright, I think we've gotten all of the stuff. Let's see. Floor 9. Drain grate. Yeah, I think we've gotten all of that stuff, so I think we can start working on the actual building here. Alright, so let's start with this door area. But, like I said, I eventually got into this stuff later on, but it was just... not physically. Most of it I ran digitally or through proxy, like by other means or whatever. You know, by borrowing stuff, not actually collecting it myself. But too far on that, but it's fine. Okay. I think we got pretty much all of that. Ever play the first one? I didn't. Based on the viewership, it seems like people, like, prefer that one to this one. The viewership on this one is, like, terrible compared to the first one. There's, like, thousands of people that still watch the first one. Very curious why nobody watches this one. In comparison. Where can we put this? That'll be good. No, but is it any good? This one's alright. Like, I'm mainly doing this to kill some time before Leave gets on so we can play Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It's a beat 'em up we both found on Game Pass. It's chill like this one. Okay. I mean, I might check it out. I mean, I'm only playing this one because it's free on Game Pass, I'll be honest. Like, there's been quite a few games that I'm like, oh, it's free on Game Pass. Why not? You know? Played it. Yeah, classmate was like, why are you playing this? You know, whenever I see that question, like, why are you doing this? Because I can. Like, it's not bothering you, it's not bothering anybody else, leave me the hell alone, you know? Like, that always kills me. It's like, it's literally no one's business why anyone's doing anything. If it's not hurting anybody or yourself, like, why do people even care? Like, that's the thing that always kills me, dude. It's like, why are you playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure? Because it's fun and I want to. Like, why do you play every Madden that comes out? Like, because it's fun and you want to, right? Like, who cares? Why do you play Call of Duty for the past 30 years? Because it's fun and you want to. Like, who cares, man? Life's too short. Stop being all up in everybody's business. Like, that's what kills me, man. It's just, I think that's the thing that also really irritates me about, like, when people get, like, gatekeepy and stuff. They're like, they get, like, very, like, the thing that comes up a lot is, like, when people talk about, like, it's called the no real Scotsman fantasy, or fallacy, not fantasy, fallacy of the idea of, like, oh, well, you're not a real gamer if, you know, blah, 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 right? Like, that crap always pops up. And it's like, it's literally a fallacy. That's called the no real Scotsman fallacy. But it's just, it always kills me because it's just like, there's always someone that's going to have, like, more gaming experience than the person who ever creates that fallacy, right? So I don't ever understand why they think that they're always going to be at the top of that food chain. Whoever creates that, like, you're not a real gamer if you blank. And it's just like, because it's just like, okay, anyone can decide that fallacy, right? So people will be like, oh, well, if you haven't beat, let's go with, like, the Souls-like people, right? Like, they're like, if you haven't beat Elden Ring, you know, you're not a real gamer. It's like, okay, well, if you haven't beaten you know, every Final Fantasy, you're not a real gamer. It's like, you know, someone could do that. It's like, okay, well, if you haven't beaten every D&D TSR game, you're not real. Like, there's always, like, you can always make it worse, right? By the way, the TSR D&D games came out in 1988, and there are, like, 12 of them or more, right? And they're really difficult, and they're sometimes not fun. Right, like, but it's just like, I hate those arguments so much, because all it is just like, they're just there to exclude people, right? That's all that fallacy is designed to do, is just to exclude people. And it's just like, if you're trying to define something as what is a, like, a gamer, it's like, technically it's just someone who plays video games, right? So whether you're playing a mobile game, or even if you want to define it as more than just video games, right? You could define it as someone who plays board games, right? People who play board games are technically gamers, right? Because they're playing a game. But if you want to, like, just shrink it down to video games, like mobile games are games, computer games, handheld games, those are all video games, right? People who played Pokemon handheld, you would say that they were gamers, right? So how do you count those but not mobile games, right? The original Pokemon are definitely games that a lot of people that would classify themselves as gamers would say they're gamers, but now you're saying mobile games aren't games? Those original Pokemon weren't that complex. There's mobile games that are a hell of a lot more complex now. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, it's so irritating, because it's just like, why do we want to exclude people, right? I mean, I know the answer to that. It's because, again, it's a feeling of superiority, right? Like, it's like, oh, I want to be important. And it's like, well, you can be important without excluding people, right? And the problem is people don't realize they can be important by making friends, right? That's the thing that kills me, is they're going about it the wrong way. Like, the way you be important is you share those memories. You share that fun with people, right? You don't exclude them, you bring them in. Because that's how you become important, right? You bring them in and go, hey, you know, this thing you like, there's more. Let me show you, right? Let me show you. Oh, you love, you know, Pokemon ZA, right? Because let's just use that for example, because it's the newest Pokemon. Let me show you Arceus. You know, let me show you the OG Pokemon, you know? Because you have access to that and they may not, right? Like, instead of excluding them, bring them in. Show them those things that they may not know about. Share the knowledge. Don't hide it. Like, exclusion doesn't benefit anyone. Like, it's just... it kills me. Okay. Anything else? No. I'm just cleaning, like, the bits that we can clean quickly, and then we'll do the overall house. I'm gonna need this thing again. But I'll put that there for now. That's why I always tell people, like, with the retro games, they're like, hey, I don't know if I can get into XYZ series. You know, like Silent Hill. I talk about Silent Hill all the time, and people are like, I'm so, you know, worried about getting in the series because all I can play is, you know, like Silent Hill F, and, you know, or Resident Evil 7 or whatever, right? And I'm like, just do it. If you're interested, just play it. You know, don't worry about the people in the community. Don't worry about what you know about the game or the series. Just play the games. If you're interested in them, just play them, right? And, you know, if you want to learn more, you know, I can personally tell you a lot about Silent Hill. I can't tell you everything about Resident Evil because I'm not a big Resident Evil fan myself, but, you know, there are good people in the community that'll be more than willing to help. You know, if you're so interested in that kind of stuff. But, you know, It's just that's what the gatekeeping elitism has caused, right? It's caused that people to be so afraid of joining these fandoms because they're afraid some, you know, rude person on the internet's going to tell them, oh, well, you can't be a part of this fandom because you haven't played, you know, all 18 of these games. And it's like, no, you haven't even played all 18 of these games. What are you talking about? Like, where's my... But... And that just, it's so disappointing, you know, because there's so many new, like, because, you know, people are coming into these games for the first time every single day, right? Like, people are finding them for the first time, people are trying them for the first time, you know? And they shouldn't be afraid to do so just because some schmo on the internet thinks he knows more than they do. Alright? Like... Don't see much of that in Reddit or IRL. I see it all the time. Not in those places. But I see it all the time. Like, I see it from streamers, I see it from content creators. I like, all the time, whenever there's like a new game, I see people being like, well, as the expert in the series, people should be listening to me, and it's like, what? Yeah, no, unfortunately, I see it quite a bit. Now, in, like, IRL, no, I don't see people do that very often, but I don't get out much, so that is a problem for me particularly. But in social media circles, oh no, I see it all the time. I see it all the time. Yeah. Well, I mean, part of it is, and I've talked about this before, as like content creators and streamers, right? There's two things that happen. One, as a content creator, you're trying to create content that gets clicks, right? That gets views and stuff like that. So some people post these like clickbaity or rage-baity titles so that way they can get the clicks, right? So sometimes they'll post stuff that they don't really believe themselves. They just know, oh, this is going to get attention, so that's why I'm going to post it. Hello, ladder? Hello? Work with me here, buddy? Thanks. So sometimes that happens where it's like, this isn't really what they believe, but they know that in order to get the viewer count up or to get the people to come in and argue with them, they'll post the thing. Controversy sells, unfortunately. But I have seen people like legitimately like tell people like, oh, well, your opinion doesn't matter because you haven't played, you know, XYZ thing, or, you know, you're not a part of the community because you've only read about these things or looked at these things, you know. I wish it wasn't true, but I have legitimately seen that stuff. And that's the thing, it's like, I don't talk from like places of conjecture. Like I only talk about what I personally have experienced. Like, I wish I hadn't seen that stuff. I wish it was conjecture, but unfortunately, that's a little weird. It's like dingy on the edge of that. Oop, slipped right off of it. What happens when you jump on a rounded surface, I guess. Okay. Alright, so I think we've cleaned off everything but this, like... So let's... I'm gonna do this lower, like, brickwork thing. And then we'll do, like, the house proper. But like I said, some of it is literally just, like, rage bait stuff, but some people, man, they're just mean. Like, plain and simple, people are just mean. Some people. Not all people. But some people, they're just legitimate mean. Okay. That actually didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. New job available. Nice. Okay. Ladder, move, thank you. There we go. Alright, so how do we want to tackle this? I guess we could still do it in pieces, like go after the spout, go after the windows, and just save the body for last. Oof. So like this. Trying to see if there was something that was going to happen if we just did that, but that's why, you know, that's why I try to end the stream the same way every time and just tell people to be kind. Because, you know, my hope is maybe it'll convince somebody to brighten someone else's day at some point. But, you know, one could hope, right? Takes more effort to be mean than it is to be kind? Not really. It's free to be kind and it's free to be mean. That's the problem. It's pretty easy to be mean, too. We'd like to think that it's harder to be mean, but... I mean, the idea is that it's harder to be mean if you have empathy, but for people that don't have empathy, you know. They don't they don't really struggle with that. They can just be mean and it costs them nothing. See no point in being a mean person. I prefer people. Yeah. I prefer to make people's day better too. But unfortunately, again, not everybody thinks like that or works like that. So okay. Looks like that is it for the spout. So let's clean this spout off. I'm not... I try to be funny sometimes, but I'm not the best comedian on the planet, I will admit. So, where I can't be funny, I try to be kind. I always try to be kind. Okay. That's the spout done. I guess we can go for this window here, since we can use that ladder to get... Oh, okay. Oh, that's, do this instead. But I mean, I can tell you from like a psychological standpoint why people are mean. There's a lot of reasons why people are mean. People do it for control. People do it for what's it called? Basically, they do it to make themselves feel better, right? Because if they can externalize their problems, they don't have to actually deal with them, right? Like, that's why bullying exists, is because it's just people not dealing with their problems. They externalize them. Okay, can I put this, like... Ah, I can put this here. That's actually really helpful. So... there's a lot of reasons why people are mean, and most of them actually don't have to do with the person they're being mean to. That's why I tell a lot of streamers, when you see someone that's being mean to you in chat, 1, get rid of them, and 2, realize that it usually, most of the time, has nothing to do with you. Always the parents' fault? Not always. Not always. That is not always true. We have found, when asked the nature versus nurture question, the answer is actually both. The answer is actually both. Because although the parents can help kind of guide you know, the learning of the kid, and you know, you can hope to lead them in the right direction, eventually, you know, that kid does grow up to become an adult, and people do make their own decisions. And that adult is... is still... in control of the decisions that they make. So even if that parent raised them quote-unquote right, they are still, you know, they still can make decisions that their parents would not have agreed with. And that's not their parents' fault. That is the fault of the person who made the decisions, because they are a human being with a consciousness. So... there we go. Alright. So we got... is there any other weird... ah, there is one over here. Did an essay on that, yeah? Well, that's the thing, right? Like, again, it's easy to want to believe that there is, like, one right answer to everything, right? But... unfortunately, things are much more complicated than that. We don't live in a world with silver bullet solutions to things. So, you have to look at all the pieces of the puzzle to solve a puzzle. And unfortunately, humans are the same way. You have to look at every piece of a person's life to figure out why they make the decisions they do, why they do the things they do, why they think the way they think, why they buy what they buy. So, who they talk to, how they talk, why and when they go places, all of those things are informed reactions based on experiences. And sometimes, because we are irrational, emotional creatures, we break those patterns and do things that are out of the norm. So even if you go, this is exactly what we expect them to do, and then they just do something that's off pattern. Because humans don't always follow patterns. Even if you can try to expect them 100% of the time, they'll do something that you don't expect. Because humans are also irrational and emotional. So, which is why there's such a disconnect between interactions with allistic people and autistic people, is because there's an irrationality when it comes to emotional behavior and logical behaviors, which is something that autistic people struggle with. So, some autistic people, not all. Generalizations do not help people. Well, that's not what I wanted to push. Oh, I didn't know we could get in here. Okay, I think we need this thing. Just let us get up there, or at least close enough. There we go. Alright. So So we just got that thing and then the body of the thing. Oh, I don't need this thing. I could be using this thing. This thing is so much better. So you can get right up next to this thing. Okay. I need to back up just a tad. It's a little too close. A little too close for what we need to do. Go a little above it, so that way we can... Oh, hi, gnome friend. Bye, gnome friend. Overwatch. No. I have not. Not even... Well, I feel like I've heard of that. Sounds familiar. But I can honestly say I do not recollect having seen that, no. That's what I thought. Hey, Void. How you doing? That's not what I told you to do. Is there more on the other side? Kind of. I don't know how that boat fixed it, but take it, I guess. Has Leaf started streaming? Because all I got left to do is to finish up this house, and I'll be good to go. So it took a little bit longer than I was expecting, unfortunately. I wasn't expecting all these weird curves to the teapot house being set up right now. Alright. Yep, then I will be hopefully getting done very soon. Coming off this ball, there we go. I wonder if I get away with this thing. I'll buff out the rounded house. This thing usually doesn't work very good on curves. Did you get Taco Bell? You want to treat yourself? I mean, do you classify Taco Bell as a treat? Well, if you classify it as a treat, then of course. As long as you aren't putting yourself in some weird financial bind getting some Taco Bell, then get some Taco Bell. If you have to use Afterpay though. There's the left, thank you. You pay for your burrito in installments? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You gotta go crazy just to pay for your burrito, maybe, you know, think twice about it, but oof, weird frame rate drop there. Rotate. Rotate. Alright, so I think we've gotten all the components except that top part and then the actual, like, house part. So, let's see how much of this house we can cover. So Good intro, I'll be ready. Alright. Finish up this teapot house. So let me know, take time. Yeah. I just got, yeah. It probably won't take that long. Get this crap out of my way. Switch to this. Okay. Got this part. Okay. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. That up. Alright, and then okay, so now wonder, probably this thing would be the best. To be honest. Just basically just pick a side and start doing this to it. Mm. trying to go a little bit faster now. I wonder if we could just like finish cleaning this all up, or finish covering this in soap. Why not? See if we can just cover the rest of this in soap, so that way we can just do one big wash and then we'll be done. Do. Yeah, we can't do that, unfortunately. Guess it doesn't look like we're gonna have enough soap. At least try to get the top. At least most of the top. Actually, hold on. So this rim we might be able to do with this thing. Terrible way to do that ball. Ball's almost done. This thing is almost done as well, I think. Chimney is done. Get back on the roof. Roof. Okay. Is this gonna work? Can I do this? Maybe. I'll be able to cut a corner here. Oh, this is why it didn't work before. Because there's probably underneath, yeah. Okay. So rotate. Okay, so that's done. The middle part will probably be done soon too. Okay. That part's done. Fell off the roof. Let's say, I think that this panel is gonna have some. Okay, that one's done. That's done. I think we just have this. Where's the... Can I use this ladder here? Yes, I can. Nice. Alright, once we get this done, this should be the last piece. And I can head on to go punch some bad guys and marvel with leave. And we're good to go. Oh, it's a shadow, okay. Okay. Yeah, I need the... Where's that stupid thing at? I need this. Okay, fine. Don't put that where I want you to put it then. Okay, that part's done. That part's done. And soon... all of this will be done. Yep. Wall base. Wall base. Oh, really? God. Right buttons, please. 2. Q. Oh yeah, that's... There we go. Alright. Home base. Alright, let's get out of this. Go say hello to our friend. So we can go punch some whatever is invading Marvel this time. Okay. Let me go back here real quick.